his last name is kind of European. It's not like they were giving that out to certain people certain times. When some people were insinuating like, oh, did his grandfathers or great grandfathers own slaves, or like how did you just get all that land out of nowhere and nobody knows how you got it? Like, do tell. But I think with the different factoids about people's lives are cool, but I also think it's like this is where E60 comes into play. Like they should have done like a pre-draft thing to where like, okay, this is because they know like beforehand, okay, this graphic is going here. This is the story we're going to tell about this kid. He might be a first round pick, whatever. Like, why don't you set aside some content to where it's like, boom. Here's some of the most heartwarming stories from the draft.
I think the angle of it is more of like, these are things that you should know about the character of this person, more so than like, this is who that person is. Like, they're going to let the newspapers and the teams that they go to do your E60 style type of like deep dive. Like, we got 3-4 sources on this, but ESPN is just giving you the bites, just so that you can get an idea of who the person is. Like, okay, this person, brings a certain mental toughness or a certain, competitive edge or whatever, something, they bring something from their background to that team.
There's some interesting moments though, where like when people's big mamas were snatching their white girlfriends off the couch. I definitely made note of that because Isaiah Wilson, his girl got snatched the fuck off that couch. I was like Deion Sanders said in his IG, he's like, when you get drafted and your brother get drafted, we gonna have a list of people who getting hugged first because we ain't going out like that because some people got lit on national television, and a lot of people's draft parties got messed up when them cameras went off. Because some people was getting yanked. Like Ceedee Lamb's girl should have known better. Because I was Trae Young's girl before. But
all right, so we got some things we got to talk about. So can you hit me with the soundbite, please? No, the Let's Talk About It song.
Oh, cool.
Let's talk about it.
So the first issue this week, Telvin Smith was arrested, allegedly having sex with a minor a few times. For those of you who don't know, Smith walked away from the game for retirement. Said he might come back after he gets his life together, but it just came out that he was having relations with somebody who he called his mentor, or mentee, I'm sorry. I think in August to November of 2019. I believe it's in his hometown, something like that. But yeah, so he got caught up with messing with the 17-year-old.
I thought that was the legal age in Florida.
I don't know about that. I don't think it's in Florida.
Oh, I thought he was in Florida.
I don't know. I gotta check. I forgot where it was.
Because, some states, that shit is like 16, which is gross. Which that brings me to another point. Why don't we just have one? Like, why isn't 18 just the standard age for every state? Like, that's some weird shit. Like, consent, it should be 18. Some states are like, no, it's 16. Like, you don't see how that's a problem?
Yeah, but I don't think it's like
not in his case. His case is different. Like, that's,
I don't think it's like, I think it's like,
some states it's 16.
Like, it's not 16 like you can have sex straight up with a minor. I think it's 16 like you can have sex with consent, with your parents' consent.
But that's still
something like that. It's
gross.
like a stipulation.
That's still gross. I'd be like, 18. Even though in Wisconsin you can be legally 16 and get beer. I don't know if they changed that rule, but talk to T about it. But yeah, the drinking ages in some states are very low.
happened in Clay County, it looks like. So I don't know if that's in Florida.
Georgia, maybe? But yeah. Not looking good for him.
Shaking my head. Other arrest news, Breeland, cornerback for the Kansas City Chiefs, recently signed a 1-year deal. It was like his third 1-year deal in a row. But he got arrested in South Carolina for resisting arrest, among other things, possession. But basically how the story goes, I guess the cops pulled up on him and someone he was talking to on the curve threw a blunt into his car, and then he was telling the officer it wasn't his, and essentially resisting arrest. And then and then he volunteered his phone over, and I guess he had some texts about like what you could infer was a drug deal situation.
You never give your phone to the police.
So,
oh my god.
Yeah, and supposedly he was already facing a substance abuse suspension, so he was already looking at like 4 games. That could get longer with this, assuming, we actually play football, but yeah.
Yikes. That is a big yikes.
Yeah, man, you guys have one job, like, stay the fuck at home. Like, don't get in trouble.
I mean, some states are different, but I'm like, fam, there's weed maps. Like.
No, but even that, like, even if it is different, like those flyover states are just now like dealing with coronavirus. But either way, like, you guys have one job and not get in trouble. One. But it should be a lot easier to not get in trouble with half the fucking world closed.
There ain't shit to do in South Carolina.
That's what I'm saying.
That's why it's easier for the cops to mess with you. Like,
yeah, I get that.
And there's more.
I get that, but bro, why are you even putting yourself in that situation, bro? Smoke a blunt at your house and chill, and have people. I also know that police in the South are very racist. And have your people come to your crib and pick shit up there.
Who throws a blunt in your car knowing you're a pro athlete? They need
some shiesty ass motherfuckers.
Like, that's already shiesty, bro. And you already know if you live in the South how the police are, especially in South Carolina. Like, you got to put yourself in better situations. Like, so like when stuff like this happens, like, yeah, you're not totally at fault, but you also could have put yourself in a better situation. That's unfortunate, though.
Another update: May 9th is supposed to be when the NFL drops their schedule. From what I've been reading, it's going to stay that way. But then also I read rumors like earlier this week that it was going to change. So, yeah, basically there's sides that want the NFL to postpone when they release their schedule, and there's sides that don't. I think on one hand, I'm sure the books want it so that they can start taking bets and stuff like that. But at the same time, with all the other sports still in the air and influx, it's like, how can you really set these dates? Because
didn't the governor of California,
we don't even know when college football is going to happen, if it's going to happen.
Like, high school football is up in the air right now.
Which they say if college football doesn't come back, that the NFL could play more games on Saturday, which would actually be pretty cool. I like Saturday.
Draft if you don't have prospects to judge.
Well, that's another issue entirely, which we'll get to in a little bit. But.
Like, and then if there's no high school, the recruiting thing is messed up. Like, then there's no All-America games. Those things draw in ratings and money. Like, there's no Under Armour game. None of that. So if the governor of California is saying we're not having concerts or anything like that till 2021, how the hell are you going to come out with a schedule when 3 of your teams play in California and all your teams will have to travel to California to play? How is that going to work? How do you how do you put out a schedule? Like, the stockholders shouldn't even expect a schedule. It makes no sense.
But California, Washington, and Nevada are all moving together, so that's 5 teams.
Exactly. And then what about all the teams coming to these states to play? Like, how do you even have a schedule?
Exactly, yeah.
Like, especially if California's, like, adamant about it.
You're just setting us up to be more disappointed later, honestly.
You're literally setting yourself up to be embarrassed and disappointed so you're going to have to backtrack. Like, just come out with a statement like, look, until all these states, until like the federal thing is lifted, there's no point in us putting out a schedule. Because college football, they're still trying to figure this out. They're getting frightened now.
Amazon just signed a deal for Thursday Night Football, $200 million deal. I believe it includes 11 broadcasts. So that will include all the Thursday Night Football games that are usually on NFL Network. They will also be streamed on Amazon Prime. And Amazon Prime also gets a exclusive game. So they'll have one game that is only available on streaming, from what I understand. Which I think is cool because, we've been seeing an increase in interest in live sports from streaming apps. A few years ago, Twitter bought it before Amazon did. And, Google and YouTube have bid on it before. Yahoo's bid on it before. So Amazon is a good fit just because they have a lot of like free content. They also have a lot of paid content. So it's kind of like a good like middle tier video on demand experience. So I think it's a good partner for them. Interesting to see their exclusive.
Amazon rules the world.
And then the last one, which is the one that I want you to lead, is just basically all the shit that happened with the NCAA this week.
Oh boy. To sum up this, I want y'all to just keep this in mind. Because in past weeks, I've talked about like coaches coming out saying certain things. Mike Gundy, his dumbass, Oklahoma State head coach. Dabo Swinney, Clemson head coach, saying that he believes in God, that God will find a way to fix this, and that his faith in God is like the reason why he thinks there's going to be a college football season. So when it comes to college football, they're talking about the transfer rule still. Pretty much, trying to solidify, will we actually honor people's year of eligibility? It's kind of gone back and forth.
I was talking about the likeness.
Oh, the likeness? Oh, yeah, that, because they're rushing. That's actually the biggest thing they're scared of. They're pretty much going to have to make it okay for athletes to start making money off their name now, and they won't be able to penalize them.
Yeah, they're essentially changing their rules to allow players to get off to their own likeness. From what I've read, it's going to come from third parties, so that it's not going to come from the schools. Like so, players are going to now be able to sign with agents and have someone kind of manage all that. I think I read somewhere that they're even going to like rebrand the NCAA and call it something else, since it won't be amateur athletics anymore.
Because it never was, and it was always a mafia racket. And I mean, when I say mafia, I'll use that term loosely, but it's always been pretty much a racket, just a money racket, and none of the kids who actually do the work get paid.
Oh, that's why they said they can't get paid from the actual universities, because that would make them employees.
Exactly.
So all the money will have to be from endorsements that will come from third parties.
And the NCAA can't do anything about that, which means all the stuff they did in the past, they would kind of have to overturn if they ever got sued. Because once you kind of renege on that and say, okay, this is okay to do, everyone whose eligibility you took, everyone who, like, you owe Reggie Bush an apology. You owe the University of Miami an apology. You owe USC several apologies.
Well, it's different because they're...
Because let's say, because his Reggie Bush's ban is almost over from USC. So let's say they want to bring him back and start reselling Reggie Bush jerseys. What's the NCAA going to say?
I mean, it's still not allowing you to take a house to go to a certain school. It's just saying that you can be an influencer and have a YouTube channel that you can monetize, and
that money from that you buy a house
and
with.
You can get paid to post you at a chicken spot saying, "Go eat this chicken sandwich."
Okay,
type
let's
of situation.
let's take